Let's get online, man.
Dial-up modem.
What's that?
56K. What the fuck sound was that?
I got class tonight. Yeah, I mean, it'll be a minute. I'll get on in a minute. What's going on, guys?
Hello.
Hey, thank you all for joining us. Gonna hang out for another probably another, I would say 15 minutes to be safe before we kick off and start rolling. So I know some of y'all been sitting in here for a little bit, right? Yeah, I got you. No sweat. So no sweat. Yeah, y'all just hang out. We'll, like I said, we'll give some people a chance to jump in, and we will we'll kick off here in a little bit. All right, depending upon how many people show up, because we've had a couple classes online and whatnot, but we've had several groups of 8 or so. So depending upon how many people show up, what's going on, Vlad? I think I'm gonna, depending upon how many people show up, we might end up utilizing the chat as a method of communication, and I might just mute everybody, but we'll wait and see. We'll see how that goes. For right now, if we can keep it, depending upon how many people we got and what's going on, we might just leave it open. But like I said, we'll give it another 15 minutes or so and get kicked off. So I'll mute you guys and go have a smoke before we get started, and give everybody a little bit longer to catch up. So y'all just chill, hang out, and we'll get rolling here in just a minute. Does anyone not have the software? Does anybody not have it?
I don't
Anybody?
have.
Okay. Do you have like can you download from Codesys or from Bedrock?
How to do it?
You just go to the website.
Your website or Google?
No, here, look. You may. I just put it on a chat.
Yes, I just click on it.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
And you like right at the top of the page, there should be a big, like a gigantic button that says free engineering software download.
Yes.
Yeah, click that. You gotta sign up for it's a free account. You gotta put in your name and your email address. It takes literally they don't bother you. I get one email from them like once a month maybe, right? So stick in an email address, download the stuff. It'll go pretty quick. Get it installed. It shouldn't take very long. All right. Like I said, we're gonna go give another 5 minutes just in case. I'm not sure if there won't be anybody else. One of my dudes that kind of has showed up to several of these, Carlos, said he might be here, but I don't see him in the list. So, like I said, we'll hang out for just at least another 5 minutes or so. Run downstairs real quick, and we'll get kicked off here with the intro and get going pretty soon. All right. Thanks, guys.
Quick question.
Yep. Go ahead.
When I fill up the information, it just say thank you, and then they say Bedrock IDE B1.8 and then Service Pack 1.
Mm-hmm.
So what should I click on?
Like there's a link for you to click.
No, I think it's two links. The first one, when I scroll over, is like a Bedrock IDE V1.8. It's on red. Is that one I have to download?
Yeah, you want the IDE.
Okay.
That's correct. Yep. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, like I was literally just thinking that there needs to be a thing. So.
Say what now?
How y'all looking?
Good.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Okay. Anybody having trouble getting it downloaded or getting installed?
I was downloading and then I think you take over my computer.
Like, oh, with the screen?
Yeah.
Just minimize it. You can get back to yours.
Oh, okay.
Look here. I'll. You can move it over. You can minimize it, whatever. You don't have to have full screen, but. All right. Still kind of waiting for Carlos. If he makes it, just kind of giving him another minute. Yeah. I need to shoot. You'll see. Right. Is there anyone who does not have a microphone and can answer questions or anything like that? Or needs to use a chat? Because I got the chat window closed. So in case, I'm just trying to make sure I get anybody who's got questions if y'all have to type them or whatever. There we go. Okay. Everybody's here. English is pretty good. I know at one guy contacted me. He was worried. Yeah, I can. Bakir, is it Bakir? I can host I'm going to host the slides actually as a GitHub page, and so you will have access to the GitHub pages. I learned like French in like second grade or third grade. It was required, lad, of all Louisiana public school students. Mm-hmm. All right, now I think I got you on my headphones now. Trying to make it so that Dino can play his video games. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm tired.
Gotcha.
Thank
Been a
you.
long day, man.
I might just be listening today, but
Yeah, Mr. Shane, it's good to see you here. So,
Hey, good to see you.
yeah, man. All right, so guys, this is just gonna get kicked off. I want to sincerely let you guys know how much I appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to be here. I hope that I can provide you with some content that is at least acceptable. Is there anyone who doesn't have any kind of familiarity with PLCs or programming at all?
I was a little exposed to it, not that much indeed. So
Okay, all right, but yeah, I mean you've got at least a reasonable concept of
yes,
okay, fantastic. Again, because there is a depending on the audience, there is the if you at least know what a PLC is, right? We can move past that part as opposed to maybe need to talk about it a little bit. So, but without any further ado, this is the program overview. I'm planning on trying to do this in 5 to 6 weeks. There will be some time when I won't be on Hitch, so it'll be 100% online, just like you guys are now. However, I do have a classroom training that is also, it's the same thing, same material, just done in a classroom at a location here. I think it's important because it definitely gives the local techs and the local guys an opportunity to network and to kind of put their hands on stuff. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm Scooter. I got that nickname when I was working offshore because we use radios and people think it's funny to give people nicknames. Skate Tech at Taiga. I do commissioning in a Bakken and programming. I've been up here for 1.5 years. I'm on a 14-14 rotation, and I'm seeking partners, anybody who can kind of help hold classes. I'd love somebody local that can kind of help out with the local classes, but I'm even open to partners that just can help out with material and content and hosting some of the online stuff. I do plan to kind of move this, and it's not just going to be every week, week over week. What I'd like to do is go to something maybe bi-weekly, every other week have a lecture, and something like that. However, it just depends on availability, what we can come up with. I took a non-traditional path to training. Thanks, Vlad. Appreciate it, man. I took a non-traditional path to automation the programming. I came from the Navy. I was on submarines as a fire control technician. I got exposed to computing and some very old school computing. The Busy One fire control system that I deployed with for the first time was actually built by the Singer Corporation. It utilized encoders as the main inputs for the system, and there was a teletype PDP interface. It was a very interesting situation to think that in the year 2001, we were sending guys out to sea to go and do Operation Iraqi Freedom with a system that was a computer that was designed in the 50s. So yeah. So after that, I worked for the government and did some government contract stuff until, like government contract stuff does, it went away. And I got into doing manufacturing equipment, and that led me to doing drilling. And I got into drilling, and right when I got comfortable utilizing Step 7 and actually doing programming and troubleshooting for drilling rigs, and I really got my head around what my job actually was, the oil industry promptly crashed, and I was laid off. So I ended up doing production. Oil and gas production is a little bit more stable operations out in the Gulf, and then ended up here. So that's me. I didn't really learn any PLC automation until I took my first Step 7 class in 2014. That was the first time I got exposed to PLC automation. I was doing test automation, and I was doing bash scripts, and I was doing lots of different Unix and Linux and switch testing and test case generation with computational systems rather than PLCs. But when I went to work in the manufacturing equipment, they kind of realized that I was able to do the integration stuff pretty easily. I just kind of took to it. So my boss put me in that slot doing integration and working with the plant guys, kind of like Vlad. I assume that's what you do. Is you work with like the line integrators and the builders and whatnot, right? But anyway, yeah. So we kind of I worked with those guys, and it kind of quickly became apparent that I was pretty good at helping them figure out their problems and troubleshoot, even from their side. And anyway, I enjoyed it. So, all right, synergy. This is automation synergy. It's a. I think I'm gonna actually register as a nonprofit. It's weird to explain to, like, I put out flyers today at border states, and it's weird to explain to them that it's not for a business. It's not for like a nonprofit. It's a thing that I do, and I get a lot of questions when I'm putting out flyers and stuff. And I mean, it's good because it generates interest, but at the same time, there's an inherent I guess mistrust of somebody who's just doing something for free. Trust me, guys. Trust me. This is not completely altruistic. I have reasons for doing this. So, and we'll get into them in just a second. Synergy Nodak is a community of automation professionals that meet to share knowledge. It's an opportunity for nerds to do projects with interesting hardware and software. A lot of it is me rambling about SCADA or IoT or radio systems or data monitoring systems, because that's where my interest really kind of is. and it is also free PLC automation training classes. You are the beneficiaries of that. It is a networking and company or client independent information sharing group. And it's providing a platform for of voices from the deck plate, from the boots on the ground, to into the industry. There is enough, I think, attention with what we're doing here to actually have some voice and some influence into the future of automation. And I think that's kind of pretty neat, you know. The internet and doing things like this, and like Solus PLC and YouTube have provided a platform for people who previously would have never had an opportunity to get their opinions out there, to put those things out. And I'm happy that we're able to do it. Like I said, we have the opportunity to affect the entire automation industry. But you people are saying, I don't need your free classes. Awesome. Like, if you don't need classes, I want your knowledge. We have plans for vendor demos, sponsored events, possibly even doing some live online programming stuff, and kind of think of it as like Twitch, only with PLC and maybe SCADA. I gotta pull this up, guys. Missing my notes. So, all right. Right here. All right. I do need video editing assistance because I am slow. I don't know what it is. It just takes me forever to feel comfortable enough to edit video. So if I don't either just do direct to the internet, it just it never gets done. So somebody's got their mic on and it's spitting back at me. I'm trying to figure out who it is. I'm gonna meet you guys. So, all right, there we go. So everybody use the chat rather than using your mic. What I'm going to do is, let me go through each one of you. I think Brandon's got me muted on his end. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Good. All right. Let me know if anybody says anything in the chat. It's quiet at your place. So I do. So yeah, we're seeking additional opportunities to partner with businesses and any vendors. Again, if you know anybody who could help out with video assistance, that'd be fantastic. I am taking Zach Scriven's class. It just doesn't seem to be helping nearly fast enough. So automation programming. Notice I did not say PLC programming. The goal of Synergy Automation is not necessarily just PLC programming, but the entire automation industry. I'm more concerned about making this open to guys that do instrumentation, to compressors and compressor governors, and just, anything that automates something. I'm very open to having that be part of what we play with. Guys, think of. Have you ever been to like a makerspace or a hackerspace or like a makerthon or anything like that, where it's kind of nerdy dudes doing projects, and that kind of stuff comes out of these Linux meetup groups and software meetup groups that happen in cities, and and they're always kind of sharing and doing lectures and stuff like that. That's really what I envisioned when I put this thing together. I told you it was selfish, and my reasoning for wanting to do this is because I want to play with, and I want to do projects, and I want to work with equipment and stuff that I'll never get a chance to. Basically, most businesses that do automation stuff, they kind of stick with what they have. They have integrators that build the machines or whatever. And there's not a whole lot of variance in their systems. Thanks. So there's not a whole lot of variance in the systems. I am interested in getting the opportunity to get my hands on all kinds of different stuff. Again, and part of it is I'm very interested in the SCADA side. I'm very interested in doing different kind of programming techniques, and these are opportunities that I would not have unless I created or spent a lot of money out of my pocket, or I created an opportunity. There we go. I'm gonna hang on, guys. I'm just gonna. There's everyone else. So anyway, hopefully we can keep it from feedbacking on anybody else. So, all right. Hang on, I got to turn you back on, Brandon. Brandon's my chat watcher.
All right. Is that better? I think we had two of us connected in the same room. I think you're good.
That may have been what it was.
Is that fixed now? Is it good?
Yeah, it's fixed. Yeah, it's fixed. So, all right. So again, guys, as I was saying, I'm very interested in doing different stuff. I'm very interested in playing with different technology, and I think the only way that I'm going to get that opportunity is to either buy it myself, spend a bunch of money that I don't have to spend on stuff that my wife would never let me purchase to begin with, or I can create the community that businesses will want to sponsor with hardware and software and different projects, and at the same time, maybe hopefully help other people along the way. And so that's where we are. Structured text course, 6 weeks of speaking English to a PLC. The reason why I say speaking English, because that's how I look at it. If you want to speak German, that's fine. If you want to speak Russian, go right ahead. Swahili, don't care. Whatever your language is. You just don't have to draw rungs and use instruction boxes. You have a much more free method of, organizing your instructions and organizing your code. And the other thing that you're going to find when we do this is, especially if you're familiar with ladder, there are way less instructions. And the reason why there's way less instructions is because we don't need to do things like add or subtract or compute blocks. These are inherently built into the syntax of utilizing structured text. It's one of the reasons why structured text is super good for doing big calculations and kind of complicated math. Other things we don't have to do is we don't have to do moves. We don't have to do those kind of things. Those kind of function blocks are just not necessary because the assignment operator is essentially a move. It's just a function of the language. So again, we'll get into all that a little bit deeper. But I think learning structured text in this way, where we're going to think about everything as a formula, as an algorithm that we can speak to our PLC. And I think it'll give us an opportunity to kind of explore a little bit more deeply different types of logic and different paradigms that are common with process controls, and hopefully get some examples from some of the guys that are in manufacturing and stuff, or that can help out with some examples and things that I haven't seen or thought of. Structured text. There aren't many people teaching it or doing it. So isn't that why we shouldn't learn it? No, that's not why you shouldn't learn it. You should learn it because it's awesome. There's a recent thread on LinkedIn where there were several people who literally said it's not troubleshooting friendly. I beg to differ a lot, especially when you utilize an IDE or system that actually shows you the running values right in the editor. And I believe that the theory that it's too complicated for plant technicians or electricians is just false. Because apparently this thing here is so much easier than a single statement, right? I don't buy it. Everyone here is capable of reading. And if you can read, structured text is talking to you. You don't have to figure out what the hell this thing is doing. You just read it. It's easier than ladder. Yes, it is. Nobody argued with me, but yes, it is anyway. You don't believe me, do you? Watch, I'll show you. Someone type to me in words how this works. Let's take a look at it. We'll kind of go through it together. Right? Even if you don't really know ladder logic, just kind of open your mind up. Let's put this into words, right? We have a start button. We have a pump motor running. We have the motor temperature is okay. We have the stop button see how it's got the slash through it, which means it's not pressed. It's not closed. Yep. And we have a pump motor command, right? Assuming that the pump motor command, when the pump motor is commanded, a start would occur, right? If start pressed or running and motor temperature is okay and stop button is not pressed, turn on motor. Very good. Very good. What else does it do? Because we're missing something there.
Keep motor running. Because
it latches it in, but that's inherent in the if statement, right? Because if start or running, right?
Well,
what else does it do?
No. Perform until, or what's the? Keep doing that until we tell you not to do it, right?
Well, so there's an else that goes there, because as soon as when the pump motor command falls off,
mm-hmm.
the pump, assuming, again, very simple logic, assuming that when that pump motor command goes away, it falls off. So we have a else, so the way we would state this is here. If the start button is pressed or the motor is running and the motor temperature is okay and the stop button is not pushed, the pump motor command is on. Otherwise, the pump motor command is off. This is something that's a little bit different from ladder. You don't have to always think about the turn off side of it because it's inherent in the way that the ladder works, unless you're using, a latch and unlatch logic, which is, again, that's don't mean to turn this into a ladder thing, but this is pretty typical of the kind of thing you will see in the field. And so one of the things I want to show you is you can speak this in English. You can say it. You don't need to do anything. When you are writing a program, one of the first things you should be doing is, before you touch your keyboard, thinking in your head about how am I going to accomplish this. And one of the things that I'm going to do with this program, and we're going to do together, is we're going to explore different formulas, right? Different algorithms that we can use to say what our code is doing. And you will find that structured text is essentially that. Because if we look at our next slide, here, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Just a second, guys. I think I should be able to. Maybe. All right. If you guys can read it, this is structured text, and it says if start button or pump motor running and motor temp okay and not stop button, which I think it was exactly what Marvin pretty much. Yeah, right. If not stop button, then pump motor command is equal to true. Else pump motor command is equal to false. Actually, it is false. I'm sorry. Let me not give you a incorrect. Yep, very close. Yeah, very close, Marvin. So this is how I want to start thinking about things, and we got some more to do, but we'll get into doing some examples, and we're gonna together. I'll use my big whiteboard back here, and we're gonna write down some different statements. All right, so a few more words about structured text. Hackers do not draw boxes. You know, hackers do, they type, and hackers are awesome. So this is what they do, right? You guys ready for this? This is hackertyper.com. If you've never seen it, oh, yep, yeah. See how awesome of a hacker I am? You just pound on your keyboard, and if you get the right key combination, it'll give you a thing that says you're in, and then it like says NASA systems or DNSA or something like that. I don't know. So my son has been having a blast with that, right? He gets his friends to believe that he's a hacker. My daddy taught me how to hack. So anyway. Well, there, now it's zoomed in. What's going on here? Okay. IEC 61131-3 was written and focused around using multiple languages for a comprehensive control, with structured text being the workhorse. Structured text allows us to focus on programming using broad concepts, while ladder logic is a larger set of instructions that you actually have to navigate. You have to know. You have to, like, a big part of when you go through ladder logic training is just learning the instruction set. What is normal? What's a closed contact? What's a open coil? What's all these different things that go onto your map. We just in structured text do not have to even really deal with that. We can look at it from a much broader perspective and really grab the programming concepts. So that's really my justification for this whole approach that I'm taking. And because it's free, and because I have no expectation that you guys are going to tomorrow be walking on site with your laptops and trying to get the PLC going, we can keep this wide open to explore a little bit different things, and we'll get into doing some OOP concepts and what object-oriented programming is and how that looks in doing PLC programming. So what's the plan? Winging it. We're winging it. The agenda is pretty flexible. It can change if we got to spend some more time on something. If people want to do some different things, I'm really flexible. I do not have a hard date on the end of this thing. We can keep it going, and I'm happy to do so. I'm learning a lot. You guys are making me read books that I would have never picked up, so I'm super happy with that. So today we're doing the intro and overview. We're going to do Think Like a Programmer. We'll get into a little bit of PLC history, and then we'll go through a basic structured text syntax intro, and a basic kind of a walkthrough of the Bedrock overview. And we'll do a very simple demo utilizing the onboard simulation and show you guys how you use it, show you guys how it works, and how you can play with it so that for the next couple of classes, when I tell you don't touch your computer, I want you to bring a notebook, and we're doing this with pen and paper, and we're using a whiteboard. You guys can actually, at night when I'm not looking because I'm the teacher or whatever, you can try and replicate this stuff on your own. And then when we get back, we will get into doing the software. I promise. I think it's again, the approach here is to really kind of learn and play with and explore the logic and the concepts. So I want to take some time to do that. So going forward, next week on Wednesday, actually, I think we're going to shift to Thursday. I'm going to switch them around. Do classroom on Wednesday next week, and I'm going to do online on Thursday so that Mr. Stephen Gates can come by. But anyway, we're going to do a deeper look at program construction, variables, tag, data types, and tags. What is a tag and what's a variable? Variable scoping, the mighty Boolean, and creating truth tables that we can use to make our statements around those truth tables. So that's kind of what we're looking at for the future. And I don't intend to take this fast, guys. I fully intend to take our time and give everybody a chance to roll a lot of this stuff around in your brain and really kind of grasp it or talk about it. And if you're not grasping it, if there's a opportunity for something that you guys see or that you think about, let's bring it out and let's talk about it. Again, this is a community that we are building, and I want all of you guys' input, and I'm super excited that you're all here. So, all right, let's get to the next one. Oh, yeah. Looks like we've had some additional people kind of jump in while I was talking. I don't know how much you guys caught of that, but I appreciate every one of y'all being here, and hopefully I can teach you guys something. All right. All right. How to think like a programmer. Get your neck beards ready. Even if you don't think you can think like a programmer, and why learning programming in structured text is good for beginners. How smart are they? That's why I got the shoe. Okay, let me step back out. Got some props here. I have a shoe. It's just a shoe. I have a Siemens S7 1200. Little all-in-one PLC. Add modules, very popular. I also have Hey, Pat. RTU. Oh, you guys can't see me. My camera should be. Oh. Hang on. Thanks for letting me know, Vlad. It should be showing both of them. Let me make sure that's happening. There's an option for this. I know there is because I have done it before. Let's see.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah, I hear you. What's up, man?
That may be just Vlad. It seems like everybody else can see him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Vlad, you might have your little you got to put on speaker view or whatever. I don't know.
He said we're good.
Oh, we're good. Okay, cool. I got it. Yeah, cool. So, all right. Thanks. All right. So I got a skater pack. It's a Modbus RTU, or I mean, it does PLC, it does controls. It's they are great little RTUs. I have a Siemens S7, and I have got a shoe. Which one's smarter? Anybody take a guess? They are about the same. They really are. They're not even about the same. They're the same. They are all as dumb as that shoe. That's just a fact. Thinking like a programmer is not hard. It's not difficult. It is. It's hard to be as dumb as a machine is. It requires a level of thinking behind yourself and making sure that the reason why that's not working is because I didn't tell it to do that. When I probably it happens. It's one of those things. So thinking like a programmer is more about figuring out algorithms and figuring out formulas and figuring out the method that will help us to get to our desired outcome more than it is about doing big math or any of these kind of things. Learning to program is hard. The learning part, the programming part's not so bad. Programming does not feel like other skills. It's not putting, like I'm pretty good with cars, but I don't know about those computer things, right? It definitely feels like something different, and taking on and committing to learning to do programming and to make yourself think for a machine is it's a commitment. Languages are scary. They look different. It is very easy to pull up some ladder diagrams that are just wacky confusing. You have to stop and read what the heck this thing's doing. The environment's scary. It takes, if you get a new laptop today, it takes you a day, it's a full, work day to install all of the required software to set it up, to make sure you've got your licensing. It is a chore maintaining the just all the stuff you have to have. Connecting to a live system. The first time you go into the field or you go and hook up to a live PLC and it's actually running a machine, it is terrifying because you are absolutely convinced that you're opening the door to the cabinet is going to shut the thing down, right? Until you've done it, it's not something that that you're going to just inherently be okay with doing. Yep. It happens. It's one of those things. I did it to an HMI the other day. And I totally said to myself, "Yep, I'm going to download that." I meant to pull the program, but I didn't get a chance to. So it happens, right? Going online with a PLC, especially if you're not a networking guy or you don't have you've not worked with multi-level networks, especially you get into a plant and you can have a plant network with MES system tied into it or an SAP system tied into it, along with the machine network that's segmented from there, and you have the database network, which is pulling data off of that and what it's connected to. And like when I was offshore, we had the business network, we had an internet providing network, we had the SCADA network, and then we had the individual fields had a network, but then those were all tied. They were tied together in some ways. It was it's a mess. It's a big. How many spreadsheets of IP addresses and switches and configs do you have to deal with? And if you are not accustomed to this, something that I was just kind of going through with one of our measurement techs, who really, I mean, he's committed. He wants to learn automation. He wants it bad, but he has no experience with doing any kind of networking, and he's got a virtual machine on his Windows 7 machine, and he doesn't really know networking. And he's got to configure two different IP addresses and bridge networking versus natting versus being connected. And there was at one point I was connected with my dongle. I was also on the SCADA network, and then I was also on another dongle connected to like a PLC we were using for testing. And he would just how am I supposed to know what to do? How am I supposed to know how to do this? So it can be very intimidating, guys. I know that, right? And this is one of those things that it's just a different thing that when you show up on site, you have to take 53 different steps to just even be ready to work for the day. It's just something that you have to do, and you'll learn that. Great programmers and really good field technicians are not necessarily the best communicators. That's part of the reason why they're great field guys, is because they know what needs to be done, get out of their way and let them do it. And while these are the guys that you want to learn from, these are the guys that need to be the ones passing on information and teaching a new generation. They're not necessarily the best communicators. There are big barriers to entry. There's some very big barriers to getting into this thing. Money is definitely one of them. Hardware is expensive. Software is expensive. Vendor training is insanely expensive, unless you get something that's ridiculously super specific, right? Like Rockwell came to Border States the other day. They talked for an hour or two, but of course, it was a sales pitch was what it was. It was definitely got some training for some of these guys, but what they got training on was that, man, we need to get that software. So it's great, but it's and it's definitely worth going to those kind of things, but it's a sales thing. it's a lot of times it's just not worth companies sending people to. I think it is always. The guy who put in my head, the guy who through conversation and him trying to hire me on with him and whatnot, who said, look, man, the best thing I ever did was decide to start giving some free classes out of my garage in San Antonio, Texas. Within a month of cooking some steaks on the grill on Fridays and teaching Vega instruments from his house. He had hardware vendors showing up. He had like 40 people that were coming to his house on Friday afternoons to come eat a piece of steak, and he was the one who basically convinced me that this is a good idea, and he created his business out of it. I don't have any intention of creating a business out of this, but I understand the level of attention that it got very, very quickly after he started. So, online learning, it's hard to finish. Life happens, right? Daily. Vlad, how many people have completed the courses that they've purchased versus, purchased and not finished? Yeah, 5%. Okay, I believe that. Yeah, 5%. I would have thought a little bit higher, but yeah, 5% of people have the drive, the desire to actually complete courses, even that they paid for online, and getting people just to come out or show up, or not even have to show up. Like, you guys could be not even wearing underwear right now, and I wouldn't know. Y'all could be sitting around naked in your chair, totally comfortable, warm at home, learning some stuff. And nobody would know. But the thing is like, I mean, how many people are here versus how many got the message? Or I know I emailed, the email that I sent out goes to about 60 people, plus all of the exposure. Yeah, see, there you go. All of the exposure. Is it Fari? I'm sorry if I'm murdering that. I really apologize. But we I mean, just getting people to log on online and listen or whatever is it doesn't happen all the time, right? So and then automation integration companies can get very sticky, right? Anybody who's worked in this business for a while has certainly had to deal with another company that built some machine that they don't particularly want to let you have the information about. So, starting out in this industry means asking questions and getting bad advice. That's just what happens, right? Like, you start asking questions and you don't know what questions you really want to ask. What you really want to ask is other questions. You just don't know that you want those questions. And then you get bad advice. Yeah, Bakir, I check I'm on it every day. I lurk a lot, but I can tell you for a fact, if you go on RPLC, it is got to be almost 50% of just kids asking for advice on which classes to take, what should I do about taking this job, what like it's somebody whining about they're getting paid, they're getting called out too much. It's very interesting to see, and a lot of, especially the young guys, the questions that they're asking, right? Like, which classes should I be taking? Which should I buy a Step 7 PLC? They're legitimate questions. They are legitimate questions. Once you have a job doing this and you've got your hands on some stuff and you got some availability of some stuff at work, it's a legitimate question. But realistically, right? It's just you're gonna get bad advice, right? It's cool. Like it's kind of like a rite of passage. You have to go ask people, and they have to tell you bad advice, and you have to kind of listen to it. How can I learn Studio 5K? What should I switch my major to? Just starting out, my company's asking me to work 60 hours per week, and I don't like it. How can I learn PLC? Right? Brandon's giggling because 60 hours a week out here is half-time. That's like part-time, bro. These guys work 12 hours a day minimum. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. They're very expensive. And what I'm hoping to do is, make it so that we're independent of any kind of hardware. And for this class, and then I think I am looking to bring I'm putting some things in place. I'm trying to do some stuff with Rockwell. There's there's definitely some hangups with licensing. We're working on it. I think that I have a plan, a direction, and it's possible that this summer I may be assembling a team of 5 or 6, not me, 5 or 6 people who are in the training industry, people who have websites like Vlad, right? I don't know if you guys, Vlad is in the training. I don't know if you guys have taken a look at. He owns solusplc.com. And he has several courses that I don't know how many on Udemy that he's done. I'm going through one right now. It's really good. He's a very reachable guy, and he is every single day. Yeah. See, hey, Kier, good stuff. But he is every single day. He's working and doing stuff. Yeah. Look at that, man. You didn't have to do that, Vlad. I wasn't trying to do that, but yeah, it's a thing. Check out his Udemy class. It's definitely worth doing. But again, learning Alan Bradley stuff there's definitely there is a thing with it. It's kind of hard to do, and they don't provide a really great way for student licensing or anything like that. So programming wisdom that I have picked up along the way, and this is what I have learned. Again, remember, I took a very non-traditional route. I started my first programming that I did was on the OJ 5000BE, which is it's about a 6-foot tall processor. It's water cooled. It has a keypad on it that you do a bootstrap jump to a memory location, and when you write the program, you're actually booting and spinning what's on a tape into the memory and starting the memory process. They use them at Disney. Disney's the last place that really kind of uses those processors anymore, because it's what the mechatronics were originally built on. That was the computing system that did It's a Small World and all those things. But yeah, it was that was my first programming that I had to do. I started off doing scripting, right? Bash scripting, a lot of just a terminal line, automation of just basic tasks, and that was where I got my start, and did a lot of computer back-end stuff, developing, making automated install. So when we went to a submarine and we were doing an upgrade, I could basically make all of the install tasks run all at once, because we had to do some compile stuff on Red Hat Linux processes. So I was essentially just automating the compile, kind of like what Homebrew does for Mac. Anyway, but the thing I've learned is that all programming languages, ladder, sequential function chart, function block, CFC, Python, Java, Markdown, C#, R, doesn't matter what it is. All programming languages are made to be interpreted by humans. Whether Perl looks like a monkey smashing on a keyboard or not, it was made to be interpreted by a human, because the controller can only read ones and zeros. So therefore, anything that's not ones and zeros is made so that humans can interface with at that level, right? The other thing that I've kind of figured out with doing programming and putting things together is there are only about 8 or 9 tasks that make up the creation of any program or project. It just differs in the specific words and sometimes methods and sometimes the how you're going to put stuff together and when you're going to place them into your code and when you want them to execute or run. But a for loop is a for loop. And if Vlad does a for loop on the rung and I do a for loop in a structured text file, there's no difference, right? It's still a for loop. Comments are code. I want everybody to get this in your head right now. As long as we are doing this class, as long as we're going to be working together and we're going to be creating some algorithms and we're going to be writing down some formulas together, I want you guys to get it in your head that comments are code. The reason why, first of all, if comments were code, literally no machines would run. Like nothing out there. Like there wouldn't be any like anything that actually worked because there is not a single piece of software out there that is completely commented. And the bottom line is that without complete code, it doesn't work, right? You can grasp it. I can speak to you and you can grasp what I'm saying, even if I leave out words or if I have a funny way of saying them. But how does that work with a computer or a controller? You think that works? The syntax is consistent, painfully, horribly consistent, difficultly consistent. So I want us to think about it like this as we're kind of going through this, and we're going to get into this in just a minute, right? The comments are not there to explain the code. The code is created to explain the comments to the controller. That's a mic drop right there, guys. I'm done. Y'all take that little gym and we're done for the night. Just kidding. We're not finished. We have more to do. But this is profound, okay? The code is created to explain the comments to the controller or to the computer or to the device, whatever it is. Come on, somebody's got to say something about that, right? I worked hard on that. Don't try to learn code, programming language, or hardware, any specific language, any specific brand or anything like that. That's not what we're here for. We've got some software that works. It's a fantastic simulator, and it's going to do what we want it to do, and it's going to teach us. We don't need anything. We don't need anything else. What we need to do, what my goal is, we want to do with this class is we want to learn how to talk through our formulas in plain English. Then, when you learn this stuff, I want you to teach your people, guys that you're working with, teach them how to do this in English in Afrikaans, Dutch, whatever. I don't care. Swahili. It doesn't matter. But write your code in human language. And then we'll create an algorithm. Once we create our algorithm, we will create the method that we're gonna communicate that to the processor. So I wanted you to think about everything that we do as a formula. The first thing we have to know, first thing we have to think about, is that there is such a formula as make a variable, right? That's a thing you can do. You can do that, right? We're talking about those 8 or 9 tasks back here. There are only about 8 or 9 tasks that make up the creation of any program or project. One of those tasks that you have a little drop down menu of a couple things that you can pick, that when you're going to start a program, you can make a variable. Sometimes that variable is called a tag. Sometimes that variable's called I don't know. They have different names for them, but it's a bucket, right? Like it's a bucket that has some data in it, that has some information. We have to give it a name. We have to tell it what type of data it's holding. And we might want to give it an initial variable or an initial value, sorry. And we can talk about scope. Scope's not required. We can get into that later, but the 3 things that you should be thinking about getting done whenever you realize that we have to make a variable is we have to give it a name, we have to give it a type, and don't get me wrong, like we will get to the types of variables that you can have, and we may want to give it a value. If we don't give it a value, I want you to at least have considered whether or not it's necessary, because it may not be. Right? Then we have some inputs, right? When we are going to use an input, when we are going to bring an input into our program, we're going to take that information, we're going to utilize it. We have to have, first of all, a variable to store the value in. There are ways you can use, we talk about alias tags and stuff. I don't want to do that, right? We need this is the formula for an input. We need a variable to put the value in. And we need at least one condition to advise of the state of our variable. Otherwise, we're bringing in an input for no reason if we're not doing anything with it. So if that's the case, then why is that in your code? So again, we have inputs. We want to use that data. The formula to use that data is a variable to store the data in. And what do we say a variable is? It's a bucket. It's just a bucket. Don't worry. We'll get into data types. Data types will be important. We will talk about them. But for right now, just think of a variable as a bucket. It is a location in memory that stores a thing, stores a value. Those values can be, and when we talk about types, right? Those values can be Booleans, 1s and 0s, yes and no's. Those values can be real numbers, which have decimal points. Those numbers can be integers, which don't have decimal points. Those numbers can be signed integers, which keep us from going negative and only allow us to use the non-negative numbers. There are lots of different data types. Again, for this discussion, they're not that important. Just understand that a variable is nothing more than the combination of a name for a piece of data, the type of data that it holds, and possibly an initial value. So we have a formula already. We're starting to get there, right? We're starting to be able to maybe write a code. We have an input. Let's say that input is a switch. Okay. We can do an expression. We can do arithmetic or a comparison, right? That should be separated. I'm sorry, I don't know why that's displaying in such a funky manner. But we can do arithmetic with that our expression. We can add things. We can subtract numbers. We can do comparisons. We can evaluate. We can say, is that number, is this thing the same as another thing, and do a comparison with it. Right. All right. And that's pretty much it for the Think Like a Programmer. So again, we're gonna get deep into the rest of this. I'm simply showing you some examples of how we're going to approach learning these pieces of what our drop down menu, our formulas that we can put together in order to create a code, right? And there are more. There's several different. There's lots more. There's not only do we have expressions, we have instructions, right? Where we tell the PLC to do something. We have operators and operands, which combine to make the expression, the arithmetic expression. Same thing with operators and operands to create a comparison. There's several different pieces to this, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But again, I want you guys to kind of see where I'm trying to take us. Does anyone have any questions about the method by which I intend to talk through and look at and evaluate our code kind of going forward? Are there any questions about this information at all? Because if there's not, we're gonna take a little 5-minute break. I gotta get something to drink. My throat's getting a little rough, and then when I come back, we will actually start up the software. We'll do a Codesys overview or Bedrock Automation overview, kind of talk through the software and get into doing a very simple demo. And I will also, there was a chart that I had. I don't know why it's not in my slideshow. I'll make sure that gets distributed out to you guys. That is kind of it's kind of an overview of the little formulas that we're going to be using. And we'll get into that. So, all right, guys, take 5. Actually, like it takes me like 7 minutes to. Yeah. Got to learn how to do Zoom there, Vlad. Take like 7 minutes to run downstairs, have a quick smoke, and I'll be right back. And we'll get into. See, we had some more people join. Just let me look at the list. Who's here? We got Jeff. Is that Coleman? Frolic. Bakir, Marvin, Paul. Which Paul? Paul. Paul Weasley. Okay. Fantastic, man. It's good. I'm super excited to have each and every one of you here. This is it's definitely a great class. So, like I said, we'll take 7, and we'll be right back, and we'll get started with just a few other things. Okay. All right, guys. All right. Turn on light. All right. Do I see Brandon's back and front? Is that what that is? Behind you? I got it. Got it. Hey, Samson, I ain't seen you around since like very early. Like you came to we're in Northern Valley, right? Yeah, let me unmute you. I unmuted you from my end, so.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. I'm happy. All right, who else we got, man? Jeff, how you doing? Yeah, take you off for a second, bud. I don't know if you got a mic, but was what do you? How'd you get tied up with us, Jeff? Maybe I need to open my chat. Sorry. Maybe that's the my chat. There it is. All right. All right. Yeah, anybody got any questions before we kind of step off again and get into where was it? We had Codesys or Bedrock Automation. Let's see. I don't remember the quality of this. Some of this stuff. A lot of this, I was just slamming information into slides, and hoping to. Yeah, okay. See, I got a whole list of incomplete slides. This is why I need some help, guys. I've got a ton of information that I've got a ton of resources to grab stuff from, and I can do a pretty good job of putting it together into something that makes sense. But when I have to get into formatting it, and that's why I love the reveal.js stuff. And the other thing is because I can throw it on a GitHub page, and as soon as I fix the source on this one, right, I need to fix that reveal.js source on it. As soon as I fix the source on it, you will be able to basically view that slide on, just go to the GitHub page and you'll have access to it. So, kind of an interesting thing. And all you have to do is just make an outline, right? Put a little bit of markup on it to kind of, but you don't have to get into trying to fit stuff on a slide and all this. It just does it for you. So that's why I like it. It'd be great if I stopped doing that and put this away. There we go.
Hello?
Yo. No, don't need the subtitles. What I needed this thing to do, I'll bet you I gotta kill the timer on it or whatever. Maybe I did. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna ask one more time. Is anybody still struggling with getting the software? The Codesys.
Where can I pick that up?
you can go, okay, there's two different places that you can get it from. Is one is Bedrock Automation .com, and when you go to bedrockautomation.com, there is a big gigantic button right on the top that says free engineering software, right? And then there is Codesys.com, and if you go to Codesys.com, on their homepage, there's a download for the latest engineering version, and the latest engineering version is, I think, 3.5 Service Pack 14. And I had actually just got, I had asked a message, I sent a message to Bedrock Automation to find out when they were planning on rolling Service Pack 14 in with their stuff, and apparently it's coming out. They're testing it now. They will be releasing with Service Pack 15 in June. So that doesn't make a huge difference to any of the operations, but it does add dark mode to the structured text editor, which is kind of nice. So, and that's another thing, guys. If you're like a really visual kind of a person like me, I came from my first thing that I did in automation was Wonderware stuff. When I got like into my first position that I really was doing industrial automation kind of stuff, I was a SCADA tech offshore, and as a SCADA tech, I was working on developing constant improvement and change to a Wonderware system, locally run, served Galaxy and everything. And so I visual, like the way stuff looks on my screen bothers me a lot of times. Like when you look at Rockwell, when you look at this is, I did an angry video about this, then I decided not to post it. But yeah, let me just bring this up, because this bothers me. I don't know if it bothers you guys, but I'll just kind of talk about it for a second while I get some other stuff going on here. I don't know if that's going to open the right thing, but yeah. All right. Visual Studio Code has turned out to be one of the best, coolest editors out there. And there's a couple of extensions. If you go to the extensions, they have, let's see, show installed. No, not show outdated, show installed. They actually have an org mode, which I normally do in Emacs, but they have this one right here. This one is actually pretty good, but you have to do some handiwork to get it to work all the way. This one by Sergey, another Romanov. Look at that, another Romanov. It's the family, man. It's the family, right? It does IEC, structured text, and text highlighting, and it will actually do variable checking and stuff, and a little bit of the structured checking and stuff in right here in Studio Code. So you can open up a structured text file, open a folder. Let me see if I can pull one up. If I got something, I know I do. Go to add documents. Going to GitHub. I got some stuff I put up on GitHub, or maybe it's on. No. Let's try V. Yeah, my V file. There we go. Now we got some VS Code stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so like this was just, I mean, this is not a complete thing, but it does, you know, you go to add a variable, do a variable declaration, and this is you know, switch to bool, and pick from all of the code snippet here. You know, say it's going to be a word, right? And then jumps right over to add a comment. Add a comment. And then you can come out of the var construct down here in program construct and actually, you know, I was, you know, to case machine state of switch assigned to 1. You know, you do anyway. It's you can do structured text right here in VS Code and actually have a reasonable confidence that your structure and your syntax is good, and it will actually, if you set up a project folder, it'll actually pull variables and var inputs, var outputs from other structures and function blocks that you have in the folder. So it's actually pretty robust, man. Anyway, the only thing it doesn't do is run it or put it on a PLC. Yeah. So this is Bedrock Automation. Let's see. I'm just gonna do a new Bedrock Automation or Codesys. And the thing about it is, you say, was it Codesys or is it Bedrock Automation? Well, it's the same. Think of it like Android, kind of, not quite, but kind of. So when you start the conversation about Codesys or Bedrock Automation, the first thing you got to talk about is IEC 61131-3. IEC 61131-3 is a codified standard for programmable controllers. They put this thing together back in 1982, published it in 1993, and it actually was officially supported completely by 3S Codesys in 1994. It's been around that long. It started out as one, the IEC 1131, and then it was rewritten and changed to the 61131. And the 61131 has 10 parts to it, which is general information, equipment and regulations, and number 3. That's why we typically talk about it as 61131-3 is programming languages, where it specifies programming languages. PLC Open. PLC Open is a working group that put together IEC 61131-3. It's a vendor OEM independent organization, and it's the concepts that these guys have kind of put on paper, and to think that they were doing it as far back as, you know, in the 80s shows an incredible foresight and an incredible forward thinking of how automation was going to change and the ways that we were going to do business. It's the first real endeavor to standardize programming languages at all, much less for industrial automation, but specifically for industrial automation. as worldwide support and independent of any single company or organization, other than their group. It focuses on object-oriented programming for maximum code reusability. Now, the object-oriented style, what we call a class, what we identify as an instantiated object, is a little different than in what with other programming like C# that we would think of when we make an object. But if you don't already have those background in that kind of stuff, when you learn this, you don't even have to learn it as object-oriented programming to just be doing it and not even realize that's what you're doing. There are 6 specified programming languages, 2 textual and 3 graphical. One of the textual languages is considered to be depreciated, no longer used, and that is instruction list. It is still in the editors, and it is still quite widely used in TIA Portal and Siemens stuff. They do it as something called statement list, but it's instruction list, same thing. And it's definitely a very easy way to program if you know the language. The language structures and syntax. 61131-3 specifies programming languages, ladder instruction list, structured text, function block, sequential function chart shall be utilized, and it specifies the methods for the implementation of each of the languages. There are common elements that are specified to allow interaction between the program and software suites. And for deploying the code to the control device, they have specified how the program should be blocked and constructed and formulated so that it's relatively standard in the way that a PLC will handle IEC 61131-3 information or program. It's readily apparent. One of the best ways I kind of, or one of the best observations of this, right, is with CCW and the Micro 800 series. When you look at, with Rockwell, how you program in Studio 5000 or how you program in CCW, it looks like they tried to do the same thing, but there's just enough difference between the two of them that there has to be, like, you have to have, there's a user's guide for CCW for Studio 5000 programmers, because it's different. It's just different enough that it'll make you go, why is it like this? Until I got into doing some other different types of programming, and I realized that, okay, what they're doing with the Micro 800 series is they are implementing 61131 in a much fuller fashion. That's the closest that Rockwell offers to an actual IEC 61131 implementation is CCW with the Micro 800 series. So basically, the organization specified programming methods as being either top-down or bottom-up. So in order to do top-down programming, you identify common elements, different function blocks, different reusable pieces of code that you drop in, and then you take that to the machine, and you kind of connect some I/O, and you're pretty much just often the bulk of your code is just kind of done. Or bottom-up programming, where you actually go to the machine, you create a specialty program for that machine and the product that it's making or what it's doing, and you program from the I/O into the program from the bottom up. And there is cause for each of these. Top-down programming is obviously the preferred method of guys like me, like anybody who actually works in a field and doesn't want to have to sit on site for freaking 5-6 days just trying to understand process and figure out the exact how this thing is going to be together and how it's going to work. However, there are a lot of machines that if you do not have like a DCS system that has a big overarching, very tight control of every IO that's and how it's operating. If you're running that kind of with those kind of very highly regulated industries, pharma, some food and beverage stuff, medical devices. If you're in that space and you don't have a DCS, this is sometimes. I mean, this is how it's going to have to be done. Is you're going to have to create and certify data point by data point the program because regulatory control requires you to do so. So, yeah. So what is Codesys, right? It's cheap stuff. Allen Bradley, they're the PLC people, right? Cheapo stuff. Well, you can see it's pretty capable, right? Like it's you can do anything with it that you can do in Allen Bradley. It's a little different. It's a lot like think of it more like TIA Portal, like Siemens. Just it doesn't have a gigantic brand name on it. Codesys, even though they've been around since, like I said, 1994, they've been 3S is a very large software company. They've never had a hardware component. They've never had a PLC, a Codesys PLC that's in the field. So the brand name recognition just doesn't exist. Codesys 3S is IEC 61131.3 programming language. V1.0 was released in 1994. There are over 600 different devices that are programmed by Codesys. They are the premier vendor of independent PLC programming IDEs, right? Codesys is not just an IDE. When you install it on your computer. Now, if you went to Bedrock Automation, I'm saying the same thing. Just you think about it that way. Whatever I say about Codesys, same thing for you. If it's Bedrock, doesn't matter, right? It's the same thing. Codesys is not just an IDE. It installs a real-time PLC onto your computer. When I say real-time PLC, it is a running function that will take over a portion of your processor memory time, and it will run a specified clock cycle to it's the absolute best of its ability. At some point, things happen, but normally that runtime, you can buy a license for it, and it costs about $200. But they give it to you for free. You can run it as many times as you want to for free for 2 hours at a time. After 2 hours, it shuts off. You have to start it back up again or whatever. But basically, you can turn your PC into an actual real-time PLC. Oh yeah, absolutely, Vlad. Absolutely. I have no doubt that towards the end of our careers, we will probably see a coalescing around something that kind of starts out as the base of Codesys that's going to be kind of like Windows for PLC. You know what I mean? I think their Codesys is really positioned to do that, to work that way, and then it will free up the hardware producers to make hardware that is just insane, and it will allow them to kind of do that, and then 3S will kind of stay in the Codesys space, and I'm not saying that's what it's going to be forever, but I think it'll be a growth from that. So that's my thought. But so like I said, it's not just an IDE. The other thing that it does is it has a simulator that runs right along in the IDE. So not that PLC thing that runs on your computer, a separate simulator that does all the code, and it allows you to debug. And you can debug and you can make your code really robust and really good before you ever even try it out. The thing that the little runtime does that's different from the simulator is really, it's all internal. But what that little PLC runtime does will give you access to your ports, and you can actually get in internet data or Ethernet data, and you can actually use an OPC or a SCADA system to talk to that runtime, and you can develop your product end to end, completely know that your program, not only will it work in the field, will it do what it's supposed to do, but that you also have the data modeled and the tags aligned and everything all set for your SCADA system to be able to communicate with your devices in the field from the minute that you put them on, right? That is something that is just, when you think about the fact that you just downloaded that for free on your computer, it's pretty impressive, right? Like, it's pretty cool, right? They have a bunch of add-on modules, tons of stuff that will help you to have some additional code. The other thing that's out there is there is an open source library. It's called OSCAT. I highly recommend that everyone, again, whether you're on the Bedrock IDE or not, doesn't matter. Go to the Codesys store and download the OSCAT library, OSCAT, the OSCAT library. We will be installing it later, and so we'll go through it. But if you just go download it, if you want to play with it, it's super easy to install. It's kind of like a plant packs thing. Like it's got a ton of just really well written functions and different things you can use, different mathematical formulations. They have a FIFO buffer that is just, it's awesome. Like I was so happy that I could find a FIFO buffer. But yeah, it's great. So, yeah, come on. I want to do. Oh, this reminded me. So, Vlad did a video. He was talking about his MacBook that he uses, and he mentioned that sometimes his Bluetooth stops working when you have too many devices connected or whatever. I have never had that problem. Never, not once, until like the other day. And it just, like, he said something and it spoke to my computer. And now, right, if I have my Bluetooth headphones and my Bluetooth mouse, my Bluetooth keyboard, and my Bluetooth, I also have the Magic Touchpad. If I have all of them here, something just starts falling off. Never had that problem before, till Vlad said something. So anyway, all right. I don't know how this is going to work with sound. Let's see. Can you guys hear it at all, or is it just playing in my ears? No, you don't hear it? Okay. All right, hang on. It's just playing in my ears. What I think I'm going to have to do is play it so that my mic will pick it up and send it to you. That's right. It worked the last time that I messed with it. Hang on. Why is this thing counting? All right. Put it on. I'll probably do better that way. Hang on. Oh, I forgot. I changed out my TV monitor for an actual monitor. We got tired of chasing my face all over the screen. Trying to shoot videos and doing this with the camera.
Highest level of intrinsic cybersecurity to your controllers with no additional programming. Take a brief look at 10 Bedrock IDE highlights today. The latest programming languages, simple device management, IDE customization, running multiple IDE instances, the ease of program navigation, library management, online edits, OPC UA manager, simulation without hardware, and a built-in digital storage oscilloscope. The IDE uses the latest IEC 61131 Open Control Standard for optimal programming. Utilize the best languages and methods for each design. Easily manage your devices on the same or different IPv4 networks by using the latest IPv6 protocol communication in the device manager. Design your IDE layouts to fit your needs. Include windows for better visualization, pin or hide windows for larger viewing areas, and float windows outside of the IDE. Run multiple instances of Bedrock IDE in parallel for simultaneous work on multiple projects, visual comparisons between projects, and transferring objects between projects. Through the device tree, each aspect of your application is seen in a higher.
All right. I'm not trying to give them a whole. I'm not trying to be a salesman for Bedrock. I like their stuff, but I mean they ain't paying me, so it's not like that, man. So anyway, just if you guys wanted to see it more, it's on YouTube. Y'all can pick it up. Were you able to hear it? I'm assuming you at least hear it, kind of hear it. Okay. More than just a few companies use Codesys, right? Like I said, Hilscher, ABB, B&R Automation, Beckhoff, Wago. These, I mean, you can see them. These are big names, and they use Codesys as their platform, and they see the value in it. And I think we're gonna. So basically, the big, I just don't want you guys thinking that like yeah, it's free training and yeah, it's free software, but dude, it's actually pretty good stuff. All right, so what is IEC 61131-3, and how does this help us to program? Somebody give me an answer. Somebody I haven't heard from before. Like Frolic. Who else we got in here? Paul, what you think? Somebody. All right. Tired of waiting now. Somebody say something. Somebody type me a thing. Give me an answer. Tell me. Anybody, I don't care. Standardized platform. Allows use multiple languages. Very good. And it lessens the platform, right? Like, IEC 61131 is not a platform. It's a standard for the implementation of the languages. And so when we standardize and we coalesce around the implementation, certain required features and a feature set that has the following things, it does kind of dictate how the platform is going to work or how the platform is going to operate. But it still allows a good bit of room for each individual company to have their own ways of treating their source code and of handling their interfaces, so that you're not just going to take a program from Bedrock and go jam it into a Rockwell and expect that it's going to work just because it's IEC 61131. It just means that you can take the code, the actual, the code. And one of the things that's really beautiful is that PLC Open has really, really standardized what's called PLC XML. And it is a open format for XML files that you can export from one controller and import it to another and have not a lot of problems, right? There's always going to be, proprietary stuff that's gonna mess with you, but it'll be close. So we're gonna play with it. We're gonna do a little demo, very just kind of easy. Show you guys what it's capable of doing, and what we can do with some free software and a little bit of time. And since what time is it now? It's 21:19. We're kind of going into. I said we were going to go 7 to 9. Is there anybody who's got to go or doesn't want to take a few minutes and go through the Codesys stuff? Because I can zip us along, or we can take a few minutes and kind of make sure you guys get it. It's up to you. I don't want to take too much of anybody's time. All right, Vlad. I appreciate it, bro. I'm happy that I'm entertaining you enough that you'll at least hang out with us. So it's the IEC 61131 standard that allows us to do things like have VS Code extensions, right? There's another thing that it does, which is this PLC editor that I can run on my MacBook that actually does ladder and stuff. Come on. Still starting up. Yeah, but there's a PLC editor I can do there. There are, let's see, I don't know if I installed it on this VM or not. Doesn't look like it. But there's Breams, the Breams project, which Breams project is an editor. It's a very simple editor that uses the Matec compiler to compile the IC 61131 for PLCs. There is the PLC Open project, and you can actually get PLC Open. Kind of interestingly, I just grabbed this. Just kind of. You can actually get PLC Open, PLC Open is the organization. Open PLC is a project you can get that runs on Linux, but there's a Docker that you can download and run on anything. Yeah, there it is. There's your PLC Open for Linux. There it is, PLC Open editor for Windows, and then there's a Docker that actually runs the runtime. Where is it? Yeah, you can look it up. Just trust me, it's there. You can get it on GitHub. There's a PLC Open Docker that you can use to simulate with. Yeah, look, here is a little PLC editor that I can actually run on my MacBook, right? And do function block or ladder logic right on my MacBook without having to boot in Windows. So anyway, so we're gonna do a new project. Does everybody have Codesys available and open and up? Has anybody not got it there? Fari, I hope I'm not butchering your name. I really am. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it. It's all of you guys. Thank you so much. If everybody's got to go, I get it. I will again. Don't forget next Wednesday, same time. We'll be back here going along. Okay, if you don't have Codesys, did you get Bedrock Automation? Did you download that? Okay, if you got Bedrock, it's fine. Same thing. Same thing. When I say Bedrock IDE or I say Codesys, just you can click for click follow what I'm doing on either one. Doesn't matter. So what I'm doing is just kind of go along. You guys can take notes or whatever, and let me know if you got questions. But we're going to open up a standard project here. Because I'm running Windows 10. Normally I run a Windows 7 VM for most of my work stuff because it's just got everything in it and it works and I don't have issues and whatever. But it seems to, the Windows 10 seems to have a much harder effect on my PC's operations as compared to the Windows 7. But I actually have Codesys over there. I just have to be very careful. My customer up here is very expressive about any time on the contract or like any time that anyone who's contracted them, we're not allowed to say it. We're not allowed to advertise it. I mean, people up here know, but just we're not allowed to take pictures or anything on site. Just it's not big thing. So I have to be very careful that nothing gets displayed to you guys or broadcast online in any kind of way. So that's why it's easier for me to use a separate VM that just doesn't have it. So when you open this up, you see I'm in Codesys, but I have the Bedrock hardware options here. The one you're going to want to go to is this Codesys control Win64. If you do the RTE, that's the real-time environment. That'll start taking some processor time. The better one to kind of play with is the V3X64. It doesn't run quite as consistently, but it's an option. But anyway, that's what we're going to program for. And then I'm going to leave my option. This is where you would choose, a function chart or ladder logic. I'm going to choose structured text, which is ST, and I'm going to hit OK. And that's going to go ahead and make us a new project in structured text. Let's see. There's that little PLC editor finally came around. Yeah. Yeah, it's real basic, but so anyway, so Codesys is going to make on your system this PLC PRG. If you're familiar at all with like Rockwell, that one they will make a one called main, or in Logic 500, I forget what it was, but you always have there's always a initial name. The difference is this one you can change. I can rename this if I want to. But just leave this PLC PRG. We'll open up our, so that if you're not familiar with automation stuff, this whole stack of tree that you have here between, you know, the device, the PLC logic, the application, all this stuff, this is all part of the structure that's necessary for your program to have all the little pieces that it needs to actually go into a device and start working. All right, so we're gonna open up into this view here. And you can see we have two parts to our screen. We have this top part, and we have a bottom part. We call this the declarations area up top, and we call this the code area down bottom. What it really is just it's a way to separate the data. You have to structure your data so that your variables are declared prior to it running. Okay, hang on. Do you have these tabs down here that say device or POU? Marvin? Okay, did you do a standard project or did you create, there's a thing called blank project. If you didn't click on standard project, you may have created a blank project. Do me a favor, just close, go to file, close, and go to file, new project, and when the window pops up, make sure you click on standard project and open up another one. All right, so like I said, you have your declarations area, and the reason this is you're always gonna have to put your variables between var in var, or there's other declarations such as var in, which is input variables. We have var out. We have there's a whole host of different. There's your global variables. There are different structures. We'll get into all this stuff, but basically we're going to declare our variables between the construct, right? We call our construct the construct of var and in var. This creates a piece of our software that we're expected to be declaring variables. So we are going to create. Let's actually word this out first. So we have two switches, not like an HOA. We have two on-off switches that are in parallel with a motor contactor. So either one of the switches can turn the motor on. If either one of the switches is on, the motor will run. But for the motor to stop, both have to be off. Right? Does that make sense? Did everybody get it? Any questions? Because they're paralleled. If either one of them turns on, it's going to provide contact power, right? So the only way to turn it off is if both switches are in the off position, right? So the way we'd very easily do this is we declare switch 1, and we use the assignment, which is colon, as a bool. A boolean, and again, I know you guys, if you're not familiar with the stuff, just push the I believe button and say, okay, we will get into doing data types. Right now, my focus is to show you something that you guys can take home and play with, right? A bool is just a bit. It's a switch. It's a yes or a no, on or off, right? So we're going to declare a switch 1 as a bool, right? And then we're going to make another one called switch 2. And that'll be a bool as well. On the end of the bool, we put a semicolon. So we have a colon right here. That's the 2 dots. And then on the, wow, I spelled that ridiculously. On the second one, we have a semicolon, which is the dot with a apostrophe. One of the things that I'm noticing right now is it's not really doing auto completion for me. It's probably because this is the new installation. What I want to do is I'm going to come up here. I want to go to Tools. I want to go to Options. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to my smart coding. I'm going to click Show All Instance Variables, Show Symbols, and List Components immediately when typing. So you want basically everything in this window checked except for Insert with Namespace. Okay. The next thing I'm gonna do is go to the text editor. So we're gonna use smart coding. We skip over store, we'll go to text editor. And from here, I'm gonna do my favorite thing. I'm gonna switch this to dark. Hit okay. I might have to restart to do that. If that's the case, I'm not doing it right now. So yeah, it looks like I probably would have to restart it. But this will turn it to dark mode. I posted a picture of it on LinkedIn if you haven't seen it. That's what it looks like. It's just dark. It's fine. But so for your smart coding, it's gonna give me a little bit different experience when you see this. Watch. So that bool that I just put in. Right, gives me like an Intellisense window that pops up to handle those things, and then we're gonna have a motor, right here. Put my semicolon, and that also is gonna be a bool. Bools don't care if it's in. It doesn't care if it's out. It doesn't care if it's saying yes or no. It doesn't care if it's saying running or if it's saying run. It doesn't matter. It's just a bit. Vlad, dude, I don't know if you're still here, man. Have a great night, dude. Thank you for coming so much. I sincerely appreciate you. Your feedback is certainly welcome whenever you have an opportunity. I'll get on the phone with you. We'll talk. We got some stuff to talk about anyway. Everybody, actually, unmute. Hop on. Plug Solus PLC.
Why do you gotta put me on the spot like that?
Cause man, I like your stuff, and I think you should.
Yeah, I mean, those of you who asked about the courses, do message me. I'll give you access for free. And yeah, it's mostly Ellen Bradley stuff. It's also available through solusplc.com. And thank you again, Sean, and have a good night. And I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Hey, again, man, I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback, and I really appreciate you, dude. You have a good night, dude.
Sounds good. Take care.
All right, man. Later. So, all right. So again, right back to here. We have 3 Booleans, right? One's a switch 1, one's a switch 2, and we have a motor. We don't have to measure 2 different positions on our switch because only one of them is actually giving us a signal. So if that one's not giving us a signal, then we know it must be in the other position, right? So we only have to have the one Boolean per switch, and then our motor contactor, same thing. This is our a motor. It's a command telling a motor contactor to switch on, right? So then we're gonna come down here to our program area, and we're gonna start off with something called an if statement. Again, guys, I know we have not we haven't gone over how to construct these statements. Just push the button and say okay, because I want to show you how this works, right? So an if statement starts with the word if, and now it wants conditions. If switch 1, we don't have to put an equals or compare because it only has 2 states, right? If switch 1, then means it's on. If not switch 1 means it's off. So we're looking for if switch 1 and switch 2. Hang on, let's do this a different way. I have a simpler way to do this. Remember what we said when we talked, and this is why it's so important to speak your formula, right? To speak your formula. When we talked about this, and I said we have 2 switches in parallel, so they both have to be off for the motor to turn off. Either one of them can be on to turn the motor on. So that has an effect on how we're going to construct our statement. Our statement is going to be if not switch 1 and if not switch 2. Actually, this would be an or. See? Again. No, sorry. It's an and. Has to be both. So if not switch 1 and not switch 2, then you go down to the next line. When I go down the next line, you should see an end if statement pop up here. Notice how I've got this this red squiggly here underneath the if, and also on my PLC PRG application up here, POU. And if you look down here on the bottom of your screen, this precompiler, right? The precompiler is essentially running constantly to check and see if what you've entered would actually compile. So that's something that kind of, if you hover your mouse over it, it pop up a tooltip. If you are having trouble figuring out why it's giving you a red, come on, it will give you a tooltip that says then then expected instead of PLC per device, whatever, right? So it's waiting for me to put something else in here. But so we're looking at if switch 1 and switch 2 are not giving us a signal, that means they're off. Then what do we want our motor to do? We want it to be off. Our motor will be assigned to, notice how I put a colon there, right? This is something that kind of just start thinking about. When you see in the structured text colon equals, that doesn't mean equals. It means assigned to or shall be, right? In this case, you can think of it as equals, it's fine, but just understand we will be doing some scenarios where I'll put that to the test. So think about it this way, and I want you to start considering this. The motor will be assigned to the state of false. And again, notice how as soon as I start typing false, that comes up, right? Now, just like the assignment operator, we have what's called an in mark or a statement ending, and that is a semicolon, right? So just like our statement up here, you think of a variable, right? And think back to our variable. What's our little variable formula, right? We had to give it a name, we had to give it a data type, and we had to give it an initial variable or an initial value. We have to consider an initial value. If I want to give this an initial value, I would simply assign it to 1 or true. And now it's got an assignment, right? But notice how I moved the semicolon instead of being after the bool, and I put the assignment operator in, and I moved the end mark to the end of the statement. So this is a complete statement. Switch 2 is a bool. This is a complete statement. Motor is a bool. Switch 1 is a bool, which is assigned to the state of true, is a complete statement. At the end of a complete statement, we have an end mark. And in order to tell the program what each one of these things is, we use an assignment operator. And that assignment operator is technically the colon, but if we want to assign it a value, we assign it to the value using the equal sign. So, so we have our motor. If not switch 1 and not switch 2, then motor is assigned to the value false. That's a complete statement. Yes, it has no value in it, and it'll be a 0. That is correct. That's a good assumption. The reason why a lot of times you want to start with an assignment is because it is possible that if you have a running PLC, you shut it down. We don't have very good battery or memory hold up. There's a lot of issues. Yeah, for safety, it's very easy to come back up and have the first scan have something assigned to be on, and it could cause issues. So if we want to make sure that we're assigned to something, that's why we would do that, right? So again, that's one of the things I want. It's not necessary. You don't have to do it. We can take the chance, and if having one scan of a bool turn on, like for a motor contactor, but then it immediately turns off, it's not gonna hurt anything. But maybe you don't want that. Maybe whatever, right? It's something we need to think about if we want to have an assignment or not. Either way. So our complete statement for this if is if switch 1 is not on, and I'm sorry, this is right. If switch 1 is not on and switch 2 is not on, then motor is false. Now we can end here, but we want to turn it on, right? So since the only other state that any other switch could be in is on. So if we have both switches on, motor's on. If we have one switch on, motor's on, right? All we need to do is tell it if any other condition exists, then the motor's going to run. So we just put else. Now notice when I did that, there are else if, or else, right? These are some other operators we'll get into, but you can get into very detailed if statements that say if this condition and if not this condition, but this condition, then, and you can create all kinds of things. Simplicity is best. That's why instead of saying if switch 1 is on and switch 2 is off, then motor runs. In making a whole big long thing, we try to find the most simple way to state this. So if switch 1 is not on and switch 2 is not on, then the motor is false, the motor is not running. Else motor is assigned to true. Right? And this is a complete statement that will actually accomplish a task. It will turn a motor on and off based upon, if we didn't have this else, what would happen? Anybody tell me? It never turn on, right? Like, we don't have anything else to turn it on. We only have a condition of if the switches are not on, turn it off. So even if we did have a condition of one of these switches being on, there would be nothing to assign the true statement to that motor. Does that make sense? Does anybody have question that, right? So, excuse me. So, again, I want you guys to kind of carefully observe where I've placed these semicolons, and I'm gonna save this file, and I'm gonna make sure you guys have it available for download. So don't worry about that. I'm gonna put it on the GitHub right away. It'll be available for you guys to grab it. But just so you guys can see, right? Like it's I don't have one here because this is not if then is not a complete statement. I have to complete the statement down here. Now this is a complete statement. Else motor, this is a complete statement. The reason why this is a complete statement is because the way the PLC evaluates this is it reads if not switch 1 and not switch, nope, switch 2's on, go to the next thing, which is this else. It completely skips this statement and goes to the else. So we have to give another ending statement because we are essentially constructing, we've skipped one statement. It doesn't even read that one. Now we have to give it another because we're making two different statements for the PLC to act upon, right? Okay, this is it. Now here's where it gets fun. And I promise you, I'm gonna go fast because this doesn't take a whole lot of thought, right? I'm gonna come over here to my application. We're going to add object. Follow me here, guys. Write this down. Visualization. Takes a minute. I want to add my visual symbols. Hit yes or add. Yeah, I'm gonna build a Windows 7 VM to do this on because it's so much faster. The first time you do this to a project, it has to add a whole bunch of, it has a library that it has to open up, and it adds a bunch of objects to your dialogue. But subsequent visual files, like when you make other ones after this, it's way faster. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you guys, just while we can let that run, is that if I come over here, it's not going to let me. A little bit more information. You see these up here where my mouse is still circling. These icons right here are going to be very highly used. You're going to use these all the time. This is your log in and log out. When they're available, they have a little green or a little red X on them. And this is your start and stop the PLC buttons. And the way that you do online change with this is definitely, you have to log out. You don't actually, not actually going offline. You're just removing your active focus on the PLC, and then you can go back online and leave it running, and it's pretty easy. So so when I create the visualization, notice how it adds a lot of stuff. It adds this task, it adds this visual elements program, it adds this whole visualization manager, all this stuff, right? The visualization that's on the very bottom, that's the actual page that we want to make, right? And we get this this pop-out window that opens up. It's got a bunch of buttons on it, and we are going to use the heck out of them. So come on, Wing Tien. You can do it. There we go. Let's see what's in favorites. Probably nothing. I'll go here. Lamps and switches, right? Slide this over just a little bit. There we go. Give us a little bit of room. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab two switches. This dip switch. Actually, I only really grab one because we can copy it. And then go back to my toolbox and grab the lamp. And pull that over here. Now this lamp, yeah, let me copy this, paste it here. Ah, it didn't switch my focus. Eventually it does start running faster, it just takes forever. And because I'm hosting the Zoom call, and like I said, I'm using Windows 10, which is killer on this machine. Certainly doesn't help. So, okay, when we click on each one of these objects, right, we get this properties window that opens up over here, and this is where we're going to, this is where the magic happens, right? What we have is this variable field right here. This variable field. Now it looks kind of blank, but if you double click on it, you get this little 3-button thing. We'll pop that open, and this, you get this whole big thing. It's all this different stuff, different namespaces you can access. And then we have our PLC program. And of course, this is going to be our motor indicator, right? This is our output, right? So we want to see if our motor's turned on or off. So we're going to assign it to motor. All right, we're going to pick another switch. Now, this one's a little bit different because we have a variable here, but we also have a toggler. Now, toggle means, do we want to switch it and have it stay, or do we want to have it switch here? The other option is, I think, tapper. Yeah, tap means you switch it, and then as soon as you let go with your mouse button, it switches right back to the default state, which is the off. So we want to leave it in toggler, because if it's toggled, it'll actually change the position of the switch. So pay attention to that. If you're having issues, make sure you're looking at that. It's more stuff that you'll have to learn about how HMIs work and stuff, but it's a common thing. Use the toggle, right? And we're going to assign this variable to switch 1. All right, and then we're going to grab switch 2. Click here. We'll assign that to switch 2. Okay, pretty much ready. I'm going to go over here to online. I'm going to select simulation. You guys see how I get there? Online, simulation. Once I put in simulation, you will know you're in simulation because you get this red simulation button or thing that pops up down here. And then you get the other PLC state indicators down here. It's actually very intuitive. What I was kind of talking about, what I want to show you guys earlier with Rockwell, is they put a big, huge block up in the corner of your screen with like a fake switch that says remote or run or whatever. It's this big, huge thing that makes your bar like gigantic, and it makes me angry. This is much cleaner. You know, it's down here, and they put it on a nice bright color so you can see it. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Visualization. Switch 1, switch 2. Now, let's go back and look at our code very quickly. What we're going to do is we're going to build our code. So we're going to build it. We shouldn't have any problems. If there's no yellow or if there's no red squigglies, there's no reason your code shouldn't build. Now, again, first time, it definitely takes a few seconds longer. Yeah, it's a JavaScript. It's a JavaScript issue, right? It's just because the newest version of JavaScript does not work with the crappy little browser thing that is there. Yeah, even my Codesys does it. It's fine. So yeah. So then once that's built, now I'm gonna go to my online, and I'm going to log in. Right now, since I'm in simulation mode, I'm pointing at the simulator, and it's actually going to give me the same indications as though I was using PLC. It's going to tell me I need to download, right? It says application, simulator device, does not exist on the device. Do you want to create it? Which is basically the same thing a PLC would tell you. Hey, I don't have the program, nothing to download on it, or whatever you're trying to use is not here. So I'm going to tell it, yes, it's going to download. Okay. Now, this is when guys get tripped up, is once you get online, right, and you're online and you're trying to do something with it and you're saying, hey, it's not working. I'll show you what you're not doing. It's not that big a deal. Whenever this is flashing, it's generating messages. It's not always an error or a warning. Sometimes it's just an event, right? See, I have no errors or warnings, but I got 5 messages. These are just different things it's telling me, right? So that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's okay. I am on. Once this changes, right, into looks like a table, and you get this different looking situation here, right? Now, if we look at our code, right? If we're looking at our code based on the current condition of everything, looking at our code, what should be the state of the motor? Because right now we have a switch 1, which is telling us it's true. Switch 2, which is telling us it's false. We can look over here in the table, see the same thing, right? Switch 1 is showing that it's true. Switch 2 is showing that it's false. But what is our condition that needs to make the motor false?
Both have to be false.
Right. So here's the thing. You're looking at this and you're saying, well, why is that? Right? The reason why is because the PLC is not executing the code. It's not running. It's just sitting here waiting. I know that because the PLC is sitting here and stopped. Right? I know that it's not a super intuitive thing. And that's why I'm showing you. Okay? The play button up here will start the PLC from running. Or start the PLC running. The other thing that I think is a good idea to do, so you have these tabs up here with you. This is our visualization. This is our little page that we made that has the buttons and the switches, the light and the switch. Okay. This is telling you the online visualization is waiting for a connection to start the application. So what I like to do is go here and go to new vertical tab group. And basically what that does is split your window so you can actually see both of them together. You can see both your code and your visualization. When I hit play, right, and this starts, this occurs, right? Now notice what's our condition, right? What's happened? Our motor is showing us that it's on because switch 1 is on. Our motor is now showing true here. It's showing true. And this is one of the very really cool things about this this stuff is unlike Rockwell, where you have to hover over the variable and it'll pop up a little pop-up to see the state, and it's not live, right? It only changes every time you move your mouse off of it. This gives you a live view right here in the running window. Watch, I'll show you. So as soon as I turn that off, give it a second. We ain't working on a PLC. We're working on my little MacBook. So notice how it went off, right? And then if I click it again on this one, boom, it turns on. If I click this one on, it turns on. If I click this one off, it turns off. But hey, why is my motor still running? Oh, that's right. They both have to be off. There you go. Now, if we want to make a change, let's say we want to make a change to this this program. Let's say we want to add a motor temperature value. No, let's do something like something a little easier. What about give me some, guys. What do you want to do? Let's just add something real easy. Just another switch. Let's just do e-stop, right? Let's just add a quick e-stop on here, right? And so we don't have to stop it, right? We can leave the PLC running. It's actually it's executing this code as though it's a running PLC. But we log out. Okay, so we're no longer live with the PLC. But one of the things that Bedrock, or one of the Codesys and Bedrock do, is they will actually allow you to pop up another monitor window. That would just be too much effort on my Windows 10. I don't even want to try it right now. But it'll allow you to pop up another window. You can stay monitoring your values while you're offline. You can go ahead and make some changes. And when you go online, it doesn't stop the PLC. It just, right? Loads it right back in. So we add another switch. So we can add a bool real fast. Let's add e-stop. That's going to be a bool. Okay. And we're going to have and e-stop, right? Why did I do not e-stop? Or why did I do and e-stop, not e-stop? Because we want to have our e-stop signal high, right? That's a fail-safe condition. If an electrical situation occurs, a fire happens, we expect the power to get cut, that would indicate an e-stop, right? So we want to do everything so that when you talk about emergency circuits, you want to make sure they have power applied all the time, and that anytime there's an emergency or there's a condition, it falls off, that it opens up, so there's no more power. And so we want to, for e-stop to be good, we want it to constantly have 24 volts. So we are looking not for these switches to be off. They don't have power. That's why they're not. So not switch. So if switch is off, and e-stop is on, then our motor be not e-stop as well, man. Look at that. Because I'm thinking backwards. I'm thinking we're trying to turn it on. We're not. We're turning it off. And not e-stop. So wait. Not e-stop. Yeah, no, we want it this way. Don't care if the no. Oh man. Yeah, I'm mixing myself up. So there we go. And then we would come over here. We would put us a button. Go to our toolbox. So it wants to load. Yeah, that was a really bad decision to make my virtual machine for this this training on Windows 10. I knew it yesterday when I was playing with everything. It was kind of really lagging. I should have just swapped it out then, but come on. Where are my... Oh, what have we got up? I have to click on a visualization screen. So we're going to use one just like this, right? Because we want it to just be toggled on. And everybody's getting tired. And my wife is probably texting me 3 or 4 times. We'll make it e-stop. We'll go ahead and log in with our online change. I see what we did here. It's not really safe, but we did add a third switch. Fine, it's showing you can do it. It would be an OR, right? Because we want the E-stop to override anything. Yeah, should be OR. It's an OR E-stop. Right? And like I was saying, Marvin, for the way that I'm thinking about it, it would be, because we're using a direct acting switch, you're correct. What I would normally do for an E-stop condition monitoring is I would take all of my E-stops, I would put them, all of them into, they would all have to be providing power. They would all have to be providing 24 volts, and that would give me an E-stop okay, like a E-stop condition. And if any one of them turned off, it would drop that off, right? That's how I normally do it, but it's late. I want to get you guys out of here. We'll get it done. So again, yeah, we're basically just treating it like another switch at this point, and that's why we would need it to be an OR, because if it was an OR condition rather than a here. If it's an OR, it would overarch everything, right? It like goes around. It's a branch around. Yeah. Log out. It's an OR. Let's start unmuting you guys. I don't know how many are left. So see, now it doesn't care, right? It doesn't care if a switch is on or both switches are on. It doesn't matter, right? You have to have that E-stop signal for it to turn on. And even if the E-stop signal is still on and it's good and it's being good, right, then the switch is still turned off. So we're making the E-stop, we're doing with the E-stop what it looked like in our thing here, right? Not that one, the other one. Get out of here. Here, I'll just pull up the. Where is it? The overview. It is like this, right? So we're doing an OR pump, but we're going around it. So we have our two switches are inside of here, and we have the E-stop is going around those two switches. So the E-stop won't make it. I don't think it'll make it run by itself. Let's see. I doubt it. Come on. Yeah, see, that won't make the motor run just because it's true or false, right? But if either one of the switches is true, and if both of the switches is true, but that falls off, it kills the motor. Yep, that works. That's not bad. So And again, guys, this is why you make your statements. This is why I'm kind of driving in that direction. Why I really want to kind of focus on that is to make sure that even though we're doing these kind of quick little things, that everybody has a chance to really, your head understands the logic. You're able to put in your mouth and say what you are doing. So anyway, I hope you learned something. I hope everybody had a decent night, man. So if anybody's got any questions, you guys have my email. Send them at me. If you have any trouble with your software, call me. I will get on a Zoom call. We'll do a screen share. I'll help you out if you need. If you want to take it further, go right ahead. You guys can. There's several tutorials on YouTube and stuff about how to do different things with this. I fully expect that some of you are going to jump in and play with it. I'll bet you that some of you are pretty blown away by the fact that this is free software. Like, it's free. Like, you just downloaded it and you have it on your computer and you pay a dime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty amazing. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure.
So anyway, so yeah, that's it. Again, I hope you guys are on board with what we're doing. If anybody got any questions before we go?
Can we record your classes?
Yeah, well, I'm recording them. They're recording, and as soon as it's done, it's actually going to be available. I'll have to email you guys the link, but you'll go to Zoom, and it'll give you a list of the classes that you better watch. Zoom. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull them down, probably clean them up, and end up putting them on YouTube, because I only have so much room in my Zoom box or whatever. But they will be available for anybody to watch pretty much at some point tonight. I'll get an email where it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll get an email saying your video is ready. So, but yeah, that's I will make that available to you guys. Absolutely. And then I'm going to fix the presentations so that they're on the GitHub pages, and everything that we do, this file, I'm going to take this program and I'm going to put them on the GitHub. And the GitHub if you just look up PLC Mercenary on GitHub, that's my GitHub page, and just look at the repo is called Automation Synergy, and you can download the stuff from there.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. You guys, everybody have any?
That was awesome. That was excellent. Thank you.
You got it, Shane. Hey, anybody has any criticism, any constructive information, I'm happy to take it, dude. I want to make it better all the time. So if anybody's got something to suggest or offer, or tell me like, dude, you kind of suck, you need to get somebody else to do this, whatever it is, man, y'all let me know. I'm open to it, and you are now part of the Automation Synergy community, and I'm happy to work with you guys to do some cool stuff, huh?
No, it's excellent so far. It's not easy stuff to teach.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So and that's the thing is I'm trying to take it and go from the very bottom of kind of an abstract concept and bring that stuff full circle. 'Cause, I mean, I could tell you this is a Boolean, this is a switch, this is that, and approach it from a very practical standpoint. Man, there's tons of classes and paid stuff that teaches you how to do that. What I want to do is expand you guys' mind and your ability to really kind of think about stuff in a different way. And that's what's cool about having like a free thing that we can kind of explore how and we can take our time. We don't have a time limit. We have the opportunity to just kind of, and however we want to approach this so that people really kind of start to understand it. And we're not restricted in any way other than just the fact that, it's getting late and I'm got to call my wife or she's going to start getting worried here. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we'll let you go then.
All right, man. Y'all take it easy.
That's great. Thanks, Sean.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Paul. But if y'all like it, say something on LinkedIn. Make sure invite your friends and get more people out here. The more attention we have, the better off we are.
Yeah.
So,
For
all
sure.
right. Absolutely.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you, guys. Good
Thank
night. All right. Stop the share. And then killing the meeting.